If you have been involved with any sort of development these days, you might have heard of this one term, DevOps, time and again. And you might have wondered that what this term is all about. Hello everyone, this is Rayn from Rayn Studios, and in today's video, we are going to learn everything related to this loaded term, DevOps, and how it can help you in building and releasing softwares faster. So let's get started.
Subscribe to Rayn Studios YouTube channel in order to learn more about software development. Also make sure to click the bell icon in order to be notified whenever a new content is available on the channel.
So let's start with what's DevOps and what is the need to introduce such a term to software development area. So DevOps is a software development methodology which involves cultures, practices and tooling. So DevOps is a methodology that is designed around people, and people create culture. Now these people adopt some of the best practices that they have learned over all of these years of building and releasing softwares, and these practices are performed via some tools, and so those tools help us in realizing our DevOps dreams. If you have built any sort of software or you have been a part of a software development team or a deployment team, you might be aware of the stages involved in any professional software development. But for the uninitiated, I would like to explain all of the stages using a diagram, and I could not have explained it better than the diagram I am using here. So any software development starts with an ideation or a plan phase where you think about the features you are going to build. Then you move on to the development or the create phase. Then after the development is over, you test that software out so as to weed out all of the possible bugs you can find. Once the testing is done, you package your software so that it can be handed over to the operations team or the IT team, which will be responsible for handling the deployment. Now, this was the development phase. So, after your application is ready and packaged, you hand it over to the operations team, where the operation guys release or deploy that software for others to use. After your application has been put online, some performance tweaks are made so that it can run more efficiently on the hardware. Once the application has been deployed and optimized, they keep on monitoring and collecting data so that they can further improve the service. So based on that monitoring and logging, they create more reports, and based on those reports, new plans are created about what sort of features to build next or what we have to optimize at the development end. So this is the entire cycle of software development, and this is what we have been doing in software industry for years. So traditionally there have been these two teams, the operations team and the development team, and those teams were siloed. They would not talk to each other frequently. Hence there was this huge hurdle of miscommunication or no communication, which created quite a lot of problem in the normal day-to-day functioning of the software development stack. So DevOps is all about putting these two siloed teams together so that they can work in cohesion. So in DevOps, the developers are themselves responsible for deploying their services and monitoring their services so that they can have proper idea about what they need to tweak, what they need to build next, and how to optimize their services better so as to serve the clients properly. So all the guys working in DevOps teams are proficient enough in development and deployment methodologies. Now let's get back to our slides and learn about the benefits of deploying DevOps in your software development workflows. So first of all, since the developers are responsible for deploying their application, the delivery or the time to market can be faster than ever, because now we do not have to explain how to deploy the service or explain back to the developers what data we have collected, because everyone is on the same page. Then you can also scale the services properly, because the data that is required to scale the service has already been collected by the developers. So those developers know what components to tweak, what hardware they will require, what sort of reports they have gotten from their deployed stack. So they know how to scale that thing properly and efficiently. Then, since everyone knows what all stages are involved and how to do those tasks, people can collaborate with each other efficiently, because everyone knows what the other person is going through and what challenges the other person is facing in realizing or carrying out a particular task. So the collaboration is increased. And as a professional, there are multiple opportunities to learn and grow, because you are working as a developer and then you also are responsible for deploying your services. So on one hand you are writing Java or JavaScript code, then on the other hand you are also tweaking Node.js instances or working with Apache servers and Redis and all. So this is a multifaceted field. So you get to see the entire spectrum of how people, culture and tooling work in cohesion so as to improve the overall time to market of any software product. Hence, this gives you a great insight about how softwares are built, what need to be done, and how can you actually ease out the entire process of building software. So professionally, one can grow in multiple areas when he is working in a DevOps enabled team. So by now we are very clear that what DevOps is, how DevOps can help us out, what the benefits are, but how would you practice DevOps in your software development? So there are certain things which are key to practicing DevOps. So the very first thing, as per my own experience, is the microservices architecture. Now these architectures allow us to break a giant software stack into standalone pieces. I have already talked about microservices in detail in one of my videos. You can check that out here. So a big software stack is broken down into separate individual standalone pieces, and those pieces can talk to each other, but those pieces are based on the principles of single responsibilities, which means that one piece is responsible for carrying out only one sort of functionality, and that is it. So this microservices enabled architecture can allow teams to work in an agile manner, so that they can work on a single feature and then they can deploy it, test it, tweak it and improve it further. So now the team is solely responsible for its set of features. The second practice is the continuous integrations. So when a developer writes any significant amount of code, that code is merged with the master branch stored on any version control system, and certain tests are run so as to check the validity of the code the developer has written. This can allow teams to weed out errors from the get-go. So as soon as those tests are done, the developers are provided back with the result, and based on the result they can know whether the newly merged code is okay or not. So this allows us to weed out bugs and edge cases which can fail the system fast. Then the third practice is the continuous deployment, which means that once this code is merged, that code is deployed to the staging area and then to the production based on some tests. So those tests run on the staging area and then those tests are run before releasing the software to the production. So this continuous deployment enables us to release several newer versions of softwares easily while ensuring that no underdeveloped branches or no branches with errors have been deployed to production. So this continuous deployment allows software development teams to deploy the newer versions of their software easily and very free, and they can also automate the entire process. So the tests are carried out automatically via automation, and based on the results of those tests, the newer version of the softwares can be deployed. And if the test failed, they would get a report back, and then they could go back and solve those issues. Then the fourth practice is the infrastructure as code. Everything that happens in that stack has been documented as code, which means that you write a code to build your infrastructure. So let's suppose if your application is hosted on AWS, so in infrastructure as code you write proper code to build servers of what capacity and where they should be deployed. So everything is built as code. So that code can be taken by any engineer, and that engineer can run that code in order to build an exact replica of your production ready system, and then you can run this script n number of times to build n similar sort of stacks. So this is known as infrastructure as code, and this can help software development teams in quickly building new environments like UAT, SIT and alpha staging, beta staging and things like that, so that they can test and deploy their softwares easily. Also, if they are trying to create a new stack to improve the latency, they can also do that using this infrastructure as code, because all they have to do is to just run those scripts and deploy the servers elsewhere. Then the other point is monitoring and logging. Once the software is deployed, you have to monitor the overall health of your stack, and you have to analyze the logs so as to figure out if there are any bottlenecks, and if there are, how would you eliminate that. So you have to create detailed reports which you can submit back or discuss with your team and figure out ways to improve the overall performance of your system. This also allows software development teams to bring something back to the ideation phase. So based on these reports, they can also build new features into their products. Then the next practice is the communication, which means that people have to talk to each other in order to discuss things, and the more they discuss, the more ideas they can bounce off each other. The more ideas a team can generate, the more they can put those ideas to practice. So people have to have good communication with each other, and that communication can result in new features, better performant systems and things like that. So that is all about DevOps and what DevOps can do for you. I hope that by now you have a proper insight about what DevOps is, and is it a right thing to introduce in your team or not. I would suggest that you try some of the DevOps practices in your team and see for yourself whether putting DevOps to work is actually beneficial for you or not. You do not really have to go all in into DevOps practices from the get-go. You can incrementally introduce some of the DevOps practices into your team and allow your team members to settle down with these newer practices and see for yourself whether DevOps is working for you or not. In case you have any more doubts regarding DevOps or anything we have talked about in this video, make sure to leave a comment on this video. I'll try to rectify your doubt to the best of my knowledge. If you are new here, subscribing to this channel might help in case you are interested in building and releasing softwares. And do not forget to do the usual liking, commenting and sharing of videos on this channel. Take care. Bye bye. I'll see you around.